Hi everyone. Can I ask you a question? How old are you? For some, it's no big deal telling how old you are. It's sensitive for others, especially if you're past a certain age. Welcome to Mastering the Craft. I'm Hadassah, your host. And yes, I want to talk about aging. Yes, aging in Hollywood. How many times have we run across that phrase, right? And a lot of times we have to think about the fact that aging in Hollywood is particularly a bane for women. It is. Sure, it's become more of a bane for men. Maybe it's always been that way. I'm certain that it's always been a bane for men, but I want to talk about aging because it's always considered a crime in Hollywood. You know, Hollywood is permeated with youth culture. You know, only the young can fall in love. Only the young can be superheroes. Only the young can get the girl or to play the ingenue and win the guy. But I want to talk about aging because, you know, often it's said, you know, as a kid, you know, remember, if you were a child, you couldn't wait to turn 13 because you were a teen. Or you couldn't wait to turn 18 because you're legal. You couldn't wait to turn 21 because you can drink, right, and do anything else. But then by the time you hit 25, that's the quarter life crisis. Now, I don't know about 25 being a quarter life crisis. I know that that's the time when you discover that life is real. But nonetheless, for others, that's what it is, a crisis. But then it's, when you turn 30, it's about, everyone has anxiety about turning 30. And 30 is young. I get it. You know, 40, that's the official end of youth. And it's the beginning of middle age. But in Hollywood, this also goes along the lines of where people, you can tell where people have along the lines of anxiety because it affects whether or not you can have a certain type of career, right? And it's interesting because I had a friend of mine, a very good friend of mine, shout out to John Strawbridge, who said this to me one time because I was actually doting on the fact that people were, you know, looking at me as younger than I actually was, and then I kind of was able to audition for roles that were younger. And he cautioned me and he says, listen, if you walk into an audition, they may look at you and think, okay, yes, she can play this young age. But if somebody actually who is that young age comes in and stand next to you, you'll suddenly look your actual age. And then it'll be awkward. And then you won't get the job. And so, and then here's the other thing that he said. He said, have you prepared to transition as you get older? Can you play someone who's 40? Can you reinvent yourself at 45 and 50? Are you skilled enough and ready to step into roles and be relevant? Even as a lead character, can you do that? And I thought, wow. I hadn't thought about that because everyone thinks about being the young leading ingenue or the leading man. They think about just that. That's where you build your career. And I just want to caution, I think a lot of the people behind the scenes, writers, directors, producers, agents, managers, who are responsible for creating this youth culture only in Hollywood, as they age, they get an epiphany. They finally figure out that, hey, life does happen beyond 40 because they're turning 40. They also realize, in an effort to not be obsolete, now they start getting these epiphanies to write these projects that show that, hey, you can fall in love. You can be flawed. You can save the world, even at 40, 45. You can do all of these things. So I think when I look at This Is Us and I look at Mike and Molly, I think McCarthy I keep thinking, I forget her name, but I know her last name is McCarthy. And I know the girl on This Is Us, her last name is, I think, Metz, Kathy Metz. I think that's her name. It's been long said that if you have weight on you, not only are you just the overweight person, but it also adds aging to you. I think a lot of people are starting to write, they're starting to normalize aging and weight and just regular people who don't look like models and who are super beautiful, to say, hey, these people live, these people can love as well. I think age discrimination, it's hard. It's hard. Women are not allowed to age gracefully. They're not allowed to get gray hair and be considered attractive. Men, however, because of how we respond to them, they're allowed to age gracefully, gray hair. They're allowed to do that, right? But they still struggle with getting old compared to their younger counterparts. They have the same struggle. But I just want to put it out there that we need to normalize aging more and not call it aging as if it's old and decrepit and we're near death. No, we're still living. We're still living in our 40s and 50s. We're living longer. Therefore, it should be reflected on television and in film. How do our bodies look, right? So I'm going to bottom line it with this. Aging is a privilege, not a right. So when you think about the next time you want to conceal how old you are, and trust me, I know I conceal it. Everyone conceals it because we don't want people to think of us a certain way. But when you think about that next time, just think about the fact that you have a right to have a birthday and to celebrate it and to realize there's a triumph when you can reach a birthday because of all the lessons you've learned, not to mention the fact that you can transfer that into your work artistically, and that you can continue living and that you can continue learning new lessons. So when you think about aging in Hollywood, tell me what you think. Tell me, what is the age that you don't want to tell anybody? Like, everyone has a different age of what I call an age of shame. Like, when I turn this age, I don't want to tell anybody. But I want to know from you, what's the age where you're safe putting it on your resume? And what's the age that is like, oh, no. I'm going to note Jack Nicholson and Diane Keaton in Something's Gotta Give. I want to note that. I want to note Denzel Washington and Frances McDormand in Macbeth. Oh my goodness. I want to note Helen Mirren and Angela Bassett, who's starring in 911 as a police officer who's in love, who's in her 60s. I want to shout those people out because, yes, we get older. We love. We don't die just because we reach 45 or 50. Life really, really, really gets better. A lot more confidence. So let me know. How old are you? Do you dare? What project would you like to see as you get older? Give me an experience about age when you're auditioning, seeing an agent or a producer or a director. Let me know, because aging is great. Aging is life extended. It's grace extended for you to live and to leave a legacy. All right. Thank you for tuning in, guys.